And I'm back. I'm Stan Arthur. This is The Stan Show. Thank you for joining me. Maybe it's your first time. I don't know. Well, why don't you just do me a big old favor? Take a second right now and click the thumbs up like button and subscribe to my channel, because I've got a lot more stories coming for you, a lot more good information, a lot more special guests. I'm flying solo today without my co-host Courtney, but she'll be back in the next episode. Hey, and also think about this. If you are local to the Western North Carolina area, I have this beautiful new studio, and I would love to do a podcast with you as my guest here in the studio. We also do remote things, but it's just much nicer to have people sitting right across from me that I can interact with. So think about that. If you have a business you want to promote or a story you want to tell, you got some great music to play or whatever, please get a hold of me. My email is stanarthur@gmail.com, and you can get a hold of me very easily through that. So I hope that you will. Anyway, today is going to be another old guy story time. Going to talk about a day in my life that I will always remember and never forget. I'm talking about the day that I met Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and Neil Peart. I was fresh out of high school, 1975, at the tender age of 17. And I had spent a couple of years going to meetings at people's houses with an organization called Young Life. And we would sing songs and clap hands and tell Bible stories and that sort of thing. The leader of Young Life was a man named Freddie. And I guess I'm going to say the spring of 1975, Freddie managed to purchase a very old, closed, dirty, dusty movie theater in St. Petersburg that had been called the Playhouse Movie Theater. Now, it had been built in the early 1900s, and it was a proper theater. I mean, for plays and concerts and that sort of thing. Had a great big old stage, had an orchestra pit, had a balcony. I think in all it was about 600 seats. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was about 600 seats. And it was very dirty and dank, had been closed for a long time. In fact, the last thing it had been before it closed was a place where they showed, let's say, adult films. Anyway, it had been closed for a while, and pigeons had got in there, and it was just a mess. We spent the entire summer cleaning it up, and Freddie had this dream, and he actually called the place Papa's Dream. He wanted to have a place where he could have concerts and bands come in, and he wanted to have Christian concerts, but as, secular concerts as well. So again, we spent the entire summer cleaning this place up. He brought somebody in to put in a big sound system in there, and just to get it all set to do rock and roll shows there at Papa's Dream. Well, the big day was approaching, but no band had been booked yet. So Freddie had met with a concert promoter, and the concert promoter wanted to bring this band in that was going to be doing a concert in Tampa across the bay from St. Petersburg, but thought, let's get them in over here as well, and they can have a show over here. And I said, well, tell me about this band. Well, they're called Kiss, and they wear makeup, and they have fire, and the guy drips blood from his mouth, and that didn't sound very good to Freddie. He said, well, what do they want? He said, well, they want they have the usual rider for a rock band. They want to have like this bacchanalian feast up in their dressing room with like a turkey and ham and wines and beer and all this stuff. And Freddie was like, who else you got? He said, well, there's a band that's touring with them. There's going to open up for them in Tampa. And there's just 3 guys from Canada. They're called Rush. They've got their first album out, and they're trying to promote it in the U.S. He said, well, what do they want? I said, oh, nothing at all. Water, they don't really need anything. He said, okay, we'll take them. So the big day came. We were expecting them to show up around noonish. And I was there with my friend Brad, my good friend from high school. We were going to work to help the stage crew guys set up the band. They finally arrived. They pulled up in a white van, and then a Ryder rental truck was there with the instruments, drums, guitars, amplifiers, all that stuff in it. So the loading dock door opened. There was a great big loading dock on the back of the stage. It opened up. The Ryder truck backed into it, opened up, and some guys came in. They were not the band. These were stage crew guys. And we're just sitting there in anticipation. And one guy says, any of you guys play drums? I said, I do. So he said, okay, you're going to help the drum guy set up the drums for Rush. Okay, great. So I got together with him. I said, okay, what do you want me to do? And it's like, well, first of all, you have to put on these white gloves because the entire drum set was chrome. At that point, Neil Peart had a double bass drum kit with 2 mounted toms and actually 4 mounted toms, 2 here, 2 over here, over 2 floor toms. So a pretty big drum kit. I wore the white gloves and we started getting the drum kit set up, and Brad was helping the guitar tech guy. The side of the stage had a stage door on it, and it led up a spiral. There was a spiral staircase upstairs where the dressing room was. Well, that door swung open and this guy comes walking out, and he comes walking out like this. He's like, and he walks right up to the front of the stage and he stomps his foot on the stage. He puts his hand on his hips and he says, "I simply must use all my marshals." And then he whips around and he walks back from where he came and went back through the door. And Brad and I just looked at each other and went, "Oh." And the drum guy looks at me and says, "He's just a funny guy. He's jokes around time. That's not him, really." Okay, good. And anyway, so we got the whole stage set up. And Brad and I went up into the balcony to watch the sound check. They played through about 3 songs. The first song they ripped into was "Finding My Way" from the first Rush album. And I was like, whoa, and looking at Brad because the vocal was so high from Geddy Lee. It was crazy high. And he and I were huge Led Zeppelin fans. And we just thought that was awesome. So cool. They got through the songs. We thought this is going to be a great show. It's going to be awesome. And we had heard that they had sold out like 600 tickets for the thing. We went downstairs, and then attached to the theater was a big, big-ish snack bar, a big room, big enough to have games in it like foosball and pool, air hockey, pinball games, that sort of thing. And you could get a sandwich there, or, drinks or ice cream, that sort of thing. So we went in there to play foosball, and it wasn't 15 minutes later that in through that door walks Geddy Lee and Neil Peart. And they walk in, they looking for something to eat, I guess. They walk in, they look, "Oh, foosball." So they came over to us as we were playing foosball and asked us if we would like to play them in foosball. And of course, said, yeah. So we spent probably the next hour and a half playing foosball with Geddy Lee and Neil Peart. That's my story. I had written this story down and put it on at the time, maybe the early 2000s. I put it on MySpace. This was before Facebook and any of that. I was at home resting on a Sunday afternoon. It was probably 2005 when my phone rang, and it was a man, a journalist, who wanted to talk to me about my experience with Rush because I had written it and he had found it and he read it and he didn't believe it. He said, "There's no real record of this show in St. Petersburg." And, it was 2005, so the internet's pretty new. And I don't know why there would be a record of it on the internet at that time. There is now, but it wasn't back then. So he made me repeat the whole thing to him about what had happened. And I gave him some other names of people he could call to verify the story and all that stuff. But I don't know if the guy ended up putting the book out or not. But if he did, it would have been around 2005, 2006. But that was a great day. That day that Papa's Dream opened. It only lasted a few years. In fact, after the first year, it closed again and went disco. Built a big dance floor and sound system. And I was the drummer in the house band and the DJ in the disco booth. Those were the days. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. I've got more stories like that. They'll be coming in the days and weeks to come. But again, it really helps when you do like and subscribe to my channel. So please give that a thought. Just click the thumbs up, or if you hated it, click the thumbs down button. Click it twice to make sure that, it really gets through that you didn't like it. But we got more stuff coming up. In the days to come. You're going to enjoy this channel a lot. And I appreciate you coming by and listening to my Rush story today. And without further ado, I'm going to let you go because I know you got stuff to do. Thanks for joining me today. It's The Stan Show, and we'll be back soon. See ya.